Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 149. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
And boy, do we have a fun show lined up for you guys. We have the Captain Marvel review. We're going to do a little bit of beers. And then we have a movie cocktail, a mini movie cocktail from one of our patrons to do on the Adventures of Baron Munchausen. But Jay, before we get into the rest of the show,
it's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry.
what have you been up to this week, man? What have you been getting down to? What's been keeping you busy?
Just a little bit of this and that, you know, work and
a little bit of that.
I watched a lot of movies.
Okay.
I did watch a lot of movies. I kind of laid low. I didn't do too much.
It's funny, the one time you actually watch a lot of movies, and we're going to be skipping what are you watching this week?
Go figure.
We could do it. We could do it.
I can briefly get through a few of them. I'll say that.
Yeah,
And,
we'll say.
yeah.
You'll wind up just giving us a synopsis for the entire thing,
Perhaps.
spoiling the whole thing, and then umming for a long time, and then just really, and then I'll have to stop.
But
you.
I got a problem, Dave.
What's that?
I can't find fucking sweatpants that fit my length. I feel like it's been a long time since I brought up an awkward topic, and it's true. For the last 2 months, I've gone to many different stores and tried to find like a decent sweatpant.
Isn't showing a little ankle like a little in for guys now? You know, like having the short pants that go up to your ankles with like, come on.
But then they're like they're like slim fit, and they're so tight. It just doesn't look right.
That's in. Well, it doesn't matter. You're
I feel so weird.
You're only smuggling grapes, Jay. They're not grapefruits, okay?
I mean, oh my God. I can't find it. I'm thinking about right now, looking up online if there's like a
big and tall
sweatpant type situation.
Oh yeah, but then they're going to be parachute pants. You're going to be like swimming.
That's what I'm worried about. That's my point. I just don't know, and I feel like I got to try them on. I can't find anything.
I'm sure everybody
It's very frustrating to me
right now feels so bad for you.
I'm stuck wearing jeans.
No one cares.
Or underwear all day long.
Just basketball shorts.
I know, but like
You could be like one of those dudes. You could be like one of those dudes where it's like, 3 feet of snow outside and fucking, below zero, and you're walking around in shorts and you're, I'm not cold. And it's like, fuck you, you're fucking cold. I know you're fucking cold.
I am not that person.
Oh, I'm not cold. I'm not cold at all. No.
Oh, I'd be cold. Yeah.
No, my legs never get cold. Fuck you, you're cold. Get out of here, you son of a bitch. I know you're cold.
Yeah, so other than that garment, I got new set of boxer briefs. That's exciting.
Why are we talking about this? I said, what are you up to? Not what are you buying? This isn't fucking Home Shopping Network.
I'm serious, Dave. I haven't really done much, but like watch movies and go to work and
then
chill
say
out.
nothing. Say nothing is better than this, Jay.
I'm bringing up interesting topics.
This is
in my
not
life.
interesting topics. This is not interesting. No one cares about your
Oh,
Fruit
my
of the
God.
Looms, my friend. No one fucking cares.
Ah,
You know what I did today, Jay? I went to the fucking hospital.
See, I was building up to that. You were the most exciting topic, so like I wanted to like.
That's what I fucking did. All right,
Yeah.
I went to the fucking hospital. So
Do you want to explain why to the people?
So for about a month, like I literally woke up one day and there was a growth, I guess you could say, a growth. We'll put it that way. It's right below my collarbone. It was just there one day, and other people in my family have like skin tags and moles and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, well, here's my induction. Guess I'm getting one in a very visual place that looks real disgusting, but whatever. I'll live with it. That's life. And for some reason, it just kept getting bigger to the point where like it looked like fucking a miniature version of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, like just living on my chest. It was like kind of large. And then you were here last week, and it just like on its own just ruptured and bled for like a half hour. I got the bleeding under control, and I decided the next day I was going to call a dermatologist. I do have a dermatologist appointment. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow. But today it ruptured again while I was at work. And I work in a business setting for the most part. And here I am talking to customers with just like blood all over my shirt. Like I looked like I escaped the fucking Manson murders. Like I'm the one that the police didn't get. Like I'm just running. Like It looked awful.
And I saw the little bit that came out last week, and that was not pretty.
So what wound up happening was I bled for probably, by the time I got home and I started addressing the situation, first off, the reason it started bleeding so badly, it has ruptured before and I was able to get it to stop bleeding and stuff, and I figured I'll just wait for it. But I have to change the bandage. I can't sit there with blood-soaked bandages. So I go to pull the bandage off of it, and the blood had dried to it. So when I pulled it off, it ripped half of the rest of the thing off too. And boy, did I bleed for a long time. At first I was like, I'll just shower. It'll stop bleeding when I'm in the shower. And then I'll be able just to dry off, dress it. And I'll wait till my appointment tomorrow. Wasn't stopping. And then I looked at the clock, and here I've been bleeding for like 3 hours, but not like profusely bleeding, not like I cut a finger off or anything. It is just a steady, slow trickle of blood coming out. But it was enough that I was like, I'm slightly alarmed. I'm a little alarmed. So I go to the ER, to an urgent care, and I was like, look at this thing. Like, just look at it. And the doctor, he was like, yeah, I don't know what to do. He's like, I don't want to cut it off because you have a dermatologist appointment tomorrow, and they're going to have to biopsy it because it might be melanoma. Yeah. It might be melanoma. It might be some form of skin cancer. So he didn't want to cut it off. And I was like, you can just put it in a little jar. You can cut it off. It's all right. And then he was accusing me of cutting it off. And like, I looked him dead in the eye, and I was like, if I had cut it off, I wouldn't be here with a half botched job, right? This whole thing would have been off. I still would have been here because you would have had to close me up, but I would have gotten the job done. I would have finished it off, trust me. And I'm still regretting not cutting it off myself at this point. Now that I've gone to the ER and it's still there, and I was like, I should have just fucking done it. But anyway, it was just a weird experience. But I did learn something interesting about going to the urgent care, Jay. Because they asked me what was wrong, and all I said was I was bleeding. The nurse who came in and saw me, and she went, we had to play rock, paper, scissors to see who got you. And I was like, why? And she's just like, well, anytime someone comes into an urgent care or an ER and they only list bleeding or pain of unknown origin, we all know the truth. It's either a sexually transmitted disease or they've inserted something somewhere and are having trouble getting it out.
I love nurses.
So she was like super relieved that like, where I was like, but isn't this fucking thing gross? And she goes, I've seen legions and boils and all kinds of things way worse than that. And I was like, it fucking disgusts me. Like, it disgusts me. Okay. I don't even want to look at myself in the mirror. I've gotten out of the shower and not looked in the bathroom mirror because of the fucking krang pulsating on my fucking neck. It's not even that big.
The kraken.
Yeah. It's not even that big. It's literally like the size of like my pinky nail. It's very small, but
it's like a large mole or something like that, or of some sort.
I don't know if it's Alaskan King, but it fucking feels huge.
Yeah.
So that's how I spent my day. I bled for 3 hours. And then I came home, ate dinner, and I made a cocktail for later on.
Yeah.
And I watched The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. That's what I did with my day. It's amazing. I did have a lovely weekend with my daughter, though. And one of the funniest things that has ever happened with my daughter happened while I wasn't in the room. I was just listening to her. And I think that like this exchange is absolutely fantastic. So we have a Fire TV in her room, and she's been learning how to use it, right? And she figured out that the microphone button does what you order it to do. So she holds the Alexa button down. I explained to her how to do it, but she doesn't always remember everything. So she's watching a show and she holds down the button and I hear, Alexa, play something else. And I was like, so Alexa replies to her, I'm sorry, but I did not understand that. So my daughter then yells, play something else. Very loudly and slowly though. Like that's the weird part. Like
she thought Alexa didn't hear her.
Right. So it's she's like Alexa, play something else. And I was like, oh my God. She's like trying to like Batman.
She is your daughter.
She was like trying to Batman intimidate Alexa into doing what she wanted without giving her clear instructions. So that might be a little bit of my dad in her. So then Alexa replies to her, there must be something wrong. So my daughter goes, put on Brainchild or I'll hurt you. And then the best part, Alexa replies, playing Brainchild on Netflix. So then Alexa goes and reinforces this terrible behavior. And my daughter, I can hear her. She throws her arms up and you hear her legs smack on her legs. And she's just like, finally. And it got me thinking. I was just like, I've seen similar exchanges.
Oh my God.
When I see adults of a certain age trying to use Google on their phone. Google.
Oh, right.
Google, look up something. God damn, this thing never works. Google.
Hey Siri.
Google. Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Alexa, what was that recipe? You know, the one with the stuff and the things that I like? I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, fucking useless machine. So I'm sitting there, I was like, there really is no difference between toddlers and
not.
baby boomers.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious. It was a funny exchange.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Jay, that concludes what we've been up to this week. Me bleeding like a stuck pig, you trying to find the right cradle for your grapes. And
Exactly.
that's about it. But I did reach out on Twitter. I do have a listener question for everybody this week.
You could ask yourself the question, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
It just raises too many questions.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything.
So, Jay, we frequently do top 5 lists on the show. And I always feel like my lists are slightly better than yours. Just slightly. You know? I feel like mine are just... I feel like people only listen to yours to get to mine. I'm just saying. You know?
I'm sure that I have a loyal, faithful fan base out there somewhere.
One guy did vote for you. So the question of the week was, who had the better top 5 professional movie fights list?
In my defense, we did not. It wasn't a poll.
It's not a poll.
It was you had to write down in the comments section.
That's right.
What it was. So,
That's right.
You know, my fans are just lazy. You know.
Yeah. Well, much like yourself. What do you do for the show again, other than come here and talk on the microphone? Yeah. So then your fans are just like you. You get what you deserve. You get what you deserve, Jay. So I wanted to know who had the better top 5 professional movie fights list. Are there any professional movie fight scenes that took place in a ring or an organized competition that we missed? Let us know. And a lot of people did let us know. They let us know. Most of the people just let us know whose list they thought was better. Some people did give us some suggestions. So, Duty from Shaken Not Nerd says, Dave just wins because of the Drago fight. He wouldn't have won without Hearts on Fire. Duty's actually got this wrong. I didn't pick Drago. You did.
I didn't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Duty has an obsession with Hearts on Fire, Strong Desire. It's the song in Rocky. You know, it's
I guess he just thought it was yours. Not mine.
But no. So I'm gonna say that's a second vote for you, Jay.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Paul from the Countdown Pod said Dave, but in a points decision. So he actually is showing you a little bit of respect, Jay. It's like me and you went 15 rounds.
3-2 or something like that.
Yeah. We went 15 rounds and it went to a split decision with the judges. Paul is the deciding judge who gave it to me in the end.
Yeah, I think Snatch is the movie that's holding me up from the win.
I don't think it's Snatch at all, my friend. I think it's $1 Million Baby. A face mainly your mother could love. It's a good name. Said, this was a brutal battle, but I'm going to go with Dave. Just barely. The Contrarian said, gonna go with Jay. Love Snatch and The Wrestler. And while I have mixed feelings about $1 Million Baby, the fights are great. Gladiator, on the other hand, what a snooze fest. Gladiator snooze fest. Are you kidding me? It's like one of the few films Ridley Scott hasn't fucked up since the 1980s. Dean Jeffrey said, definitely Dave. 4 great fights. Rocky is shit. Luckily, they canceled each other out, though. Fair enough.
Okay.
I love that fight in Rocky Balboa, man.
I do too.
I have all right, so Stork from Besotted Geekcast said, seen 3 of Dave's and 2 of Jay's, so he's got to go with me, only because he's seen more movies.
Fair enough.
And I even asked him, I was like, so you haven't seen Warrior? It was both of our number ones. And he said, no, he hasn't seen it on both sides. And I was like, both sides? And I told him, like, it's a pretty damn good movie, and it's really rare that Jay and I would even have the same movie on our list, let alone it being number 1.
This is true.
He didn't even know that we put the same movie on our list. He thought one was a remake of the other. I think it's because in the picture I used two different graphics. I gave you one poster and me the other poster, which might have thrown him off.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
The IMDb Journey podcast said, good lists from both, but Dave wins. More gooder than just said, Team Dave in all caps.
See, come on.
Ghost of the Stratosphere said, going with Jay, though I have no idea why They Live wasn't picked. And there's a very good reason why They Live wasn't picked, Jay. It's because the list is for professional fights. They Live is a street brawl.
Mm-hmm. You forgot the parameters of the topic.
Oh, I put it in there. Yeah. He just didn't read, which is why he voted for you, because just like you, he's illiterate. He only voted based on the pictures that based off the movie covers that I put in the picture.
I feel like I'm coming back strong now.
Movie Reviews in 20 Questions podcast just said Dave. Book Reading podcast, Dave, 100%. Right. Karate Kid, come on now.
Look, I hear you. It was my honorable mention.
Catching Up on Cinema said Dave, but shame on you both for leaving out Rocky versus Clubber Lang or Frank Dukes versus Chong Li in Bloodsport, and pretty much any of the other better fights from the undisputed films. So I did have Frank Dukes versus Chong Li, Bloodsport, Kumite on my honorable mentions list. I didn't the Clubber Lang, the second Clubber Lang fight. It's over so quickly, and I get that that's the strategy in the movie. It just was, whatever.
Personal top fives.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. He also went on to say that we should have had James Braddock versus Max Baer from Cinderella Man on our list somewhere.
People do love that movie.
Yeah, people really do.
Yeah.
But I didn't find those fights in that movie very dynamic. I saw those fights as I saw the emotion in them as high, but the fight itself is not dynamically shot.
Good. It was
Ron
good,
Howard.
It's not memorable.
Right.
You know, it didn't stick with me like that.
Spoon Lamp said Dave by a country mile.
Get the fuck out of here. Bullshit.
And Young DiCaprio just said Dave, and he put a little fire symbol right next to it because I'm on fire. Get your weight up, son. Your list.
I really thought my list was strong. It was like right there,
strong enough for
possibly to win.
Strong enough for 3 votes. All the rest, yo. But we did get some suggestions, and Cinderella Man could have a spot on this list, but again, it's personal. It's personal tops.
It is personal. It's
personal.
It's 100% personal.
And I stand behind the Rocky Balboa fight, and I didn't do it because that's the best Rocky fight. I did it because that's the most. Credit. That's the most realistic Rocky fight. That's the one.
Mine was the more cliche one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree. I mean, your fight was awesome as well. I always loved the ending of that. As soon as you mentioned that, I immediately flashed to that because exactly how you described it. There's blows and blows, head, body, and you could hear it and you could feel it. And choo, 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 choo. And the way they just shot it, it was so exciting. I don't think I could even breathe at that time. And then, boom, the bell rings and it's just fucking over. It was beautiful. It was so well done.
I love it.
You never see that.
I did this list did cause me to go back and just have myself a good cry on a Sunday morning because I rewatched Warrior. God, the ending of that movie makes me cry like a fucking baby. Yeah. When he's like, "It's okay, Tommy. It's okay.
I know.
I love you." And then the music just builds up even more.
Look, and you played it in the episode.
I did, yeah.
Week, so you can hear it.
I was crying while editing it, Jay.
God.
I was crying while editing it.
I was getting watered up listening to it, and I'm like, my God.
So with that, let's get into a brief, Jay, and I stress this
it's very
so
brief.
Fucking much. A brief. What are you watching?
What are you watching?
What are we watching?
I think he's trying to watch some illegal channel. Always watching.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
All right, man, what's been tickling your fancy this week? What's something you've been watching that you want to tell people about? I don't want you to tell me that you watch something and it sucks. I want you to say what you want people to watch because it's so damn good.
Well, I mean, a couple okay movies, but like, still worth mentioning. Christopher Robin, we both talked about before. We never got around to seeing. Mark Forrester directed this movie, and it is
just came to Netflix. Couldn't get Logan to sit down and watch it
because that's exactly the problem with the movie. It starts off way too slow. The first 15 minutes, it's hard to get through.
In Logan's mind, there's a very clear picture of what Winnie the Pooh and Tigger look like, and this wasn't it.
I get it.
This did not match with her child's brain. It didn't click.
It's kind of like Where the Wild Things Are or something like that. It's a very indie kind of dramatic take on this tale.
Jay, she referred to him as Trash Pooh.
Oh my god.
Because she thought Winnie the Pooh looked like trash.
Oh my god.
She thought they all looked like garbage. Like she looked at them and went like those are like in her mind. I know she can't eloquently present right. She can't eloquently present this to me, but she was pretty much just like that's the trash version of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
these are garbage. These are garbage animals, and Christopher Robin's imagination's garbage. Also, I don't want to watch this shit.
Damn. Well, some people probably will have that viewpoint.
Yeah,
exactly like her.
I'm still interested in watching it.
It gets better. The story is not the greatest, but it does, after that 15 minutes, it finds its footing and it gets
I was really hoping for
a
like
lot more magical.
a Paddington-esque like adventure with them.
But
it's not that good.
No.
Yeah.
It's not on that level.
But after I've gotten Paddington, why even bother with this? I got plenty of good Winnie the Pooh to watch.
I think they took a swing and they missed.
Do you remember Winnie the Pooh, the Hemphalump movie? Yeah. That's a good
overall,
one.
look, I still enjoyed it. All right,
I'm making this too long now. Go ahead.
Paddleton. Paddleton is on Netflix as well. Now, this is a little indie ditty.
I'm sorry. Is like marmalade sandwiches or... Because you're really confusing me. I said Paddington and then you say Paddington.
Exactly. Paddleton.
Oh, Paddleton.
Yes.
So this is about a fraternity, and that's the name of the paddle that they hit rushes with, right?
Well, it's okay. So this is actually a Mark Duplass film.
Oh man, motherfucker's got his sticky fingers and everything.
I'll tell you,
he does.
It's very much a Duplass type of film. It's written by him also, but directed by Alex Lehman, and it also stars Ray Romano. And they are just kind of like unlikely friends that are big time misfits. They live right next to each other.
Ray Romano,
in a
I'm playing tennis. Paddleton.
Yeah. It's in a very small apartment. And it's a kind of a sad movie. It's really nice. It's an interesting take on a friendship.
Yeah.
But when Jay Duplass's character realizes he's got a very serious illness and is going to be dying soon.
Does he also have a krang growing on his chest that he has to have lanced off by a doctor?
He's got a horrible mustache.
Fair enough.
So, but it's not the best movie. They dropped the ball. It's not the greatest writing sometimes. However, it is emotional, and you buy it. You buy this friendship. It's extremely quirky.
All right, fair enough. What else?
It is emotional. So,
what else you've been dipping your wick into this week?
If you're a Netflix and chill kind of person, throw this on every once in a while.
All right.
And then
every once in a while, this warrants multiple viewings.
Maybe not this one.
Okay.
Finally, the big one, the most popular one. Leaving Neverland.
Yes, this is what I watched this week.
I saw this on HBO. Binged it. Yeah, it was a 4-hour, 2-part movie.
Okay.
And essentially, these two boys who meet Michael Jackson at the age of 7.
No, one meets him at 5. The other one meets him at 7.
Right. And they recount their life from the time they meet till now.
Incredibly similar stories.
Two boys, almost parallel universes, and they never met each other before. They never knew each other really.
One from Brisbane, Australia. Mm-hmm. One from California. So, and one I remember I got to the point where the one I didn't watch both of them. I think I watched most of the first episode of it, and
it's essentially just a continuation of part 2.
I got like super just like he's just so nonchalantly talking about Michael Jackson jerking off on him, and I was like, what the fuck? Like what the fuck? The actual fuck. It was like watching 4 hours of Jay's Indie Corner.
Jesus Christ. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutally honest, and you cannot not believe them. It's one of those things where I feel like, when you watch this whole 2-part thing, you can see how
It's tough, right?
It's hard. It's hard because I can understand the other side, the other viewpoint.
Well, the other viewpoint doesn't exist anymore. The only person who can dispute it isn't around.
I know that, and it's not even so much the point.
What's weird is neither one of them hold malice towards him.
But that's another thing about it is especially the one, he's really still not completely over it.
No, neither one of them hold malice.
But
towards him.
But it's about how they're groomed, not just them, but also
others. Yeah,
the families. Like Michael. At that time, I don't know. A lot of people remember this, but
He's
so
gonna sleep
big.
in my bed. It's gonna sleep here.
But he was also so blatantly open about it and public about it. I mean, he's walking hand in hand almost with these boys.
No,
when
he
they're
was
7 years
he was
old.
aware of that it's wrong because he had to have his handler tell the kid not to hold Michael's hand in public anymore because people are going to start talking.
Right,
about
but they were touring around the world all the time together. It was they might not be holding hands, but my God, they were photographed and videotaped.
Well, Jay, he owned a place called Neverland Ranch, for Christ's sakes. So,
and that was part of the masking of it all, because he was surrounded by children all the time, and he sounded like a child, and he acted like a child. And I think a lot of people felt sorry for him and just really thought he was a child. And I still do believe that he had that kind of inner feeling, and they still loved him. They thought he was a great guy. Besides the abuse, and abusing these kids in a sexual way, and
you can't say that it
telling them to
as much as I believe this, you can never say 100% that this stuff happened because it was never proven in a court of law. So
I know that, but I'm still just saying that. In my mind, it happened.
You can.
That's my viewpoint.
You can believe that, and that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, his music's never going to go anywhere. His legacy will always.
Some people are coming away from this movie and complete. Like I heard somebody saying that he was one of the biggest fans.
One of the biggest messages
in our universe, too, in our world, our movie world, and he came across so disgusted and angry that he was like, if I go to a bar and a Michael Jackson song comes on, I'm going to walk out.
Even these
that kind of level.
Even these two, victims, that they are, even both of them, say you just got to separate the art from the artist, because they do talk about in the other great works of art that were done by great artists,
which ultimately we all have done,
which ultimately turn out to be monsters, right?
Sure, and many artists are that we all. Still adore to this day. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't want to get into all the nitty gritty details about this whole thing.
No,
but
just don't.
I would just say
skip dinner and watch it.
Right.
Don't
so
eat
if you
and watch
are
it because
interested in
rough
at all in this kind of subject, or even
we all know you're very interested in it.
Well.
It's been a long time since a pedophilia of Jay's Indie Corner, but
I felt like this was necessary watching, and it just made so much headlines, and I was surprised the
Oprah fucking did the after show
after Neverland. I saw that too, and the fact that she even did it, and there were so many strong reactions.
Right.
I felt like I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to go put myself through this.
I will finish it. I'll be honest. It's rough.
It's tough.
It's rough. I don't think.
I mean, I don't even want to say the visual. I'm not going to say it on air. I mean, you said a little bit of it, of the visual graphic sexual elements to it, but
it's rough. That's
it's tough.
It's done. Yeah,
it's fucking tough, man.
Other than that, Jay, would you like to know what I was watching this week?
Surely.
I started rewatching Game of Thrones.
I should be doing that too.
I will have it done by April 14th. I 100% will have it done by April 14th. Other than that, man, I went to the theaters and I saw Captain Marvel.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Captain Marvel soon.
So why don't we get ready and let's do our little bit longer than 5-minute-ish review for Captain Marvel. And this will be done in a brief non-spoiler format with a more spoilerific format after that. So just be warned, minor spoilers will follow. All right, Jay, Captain Marvel, the film that everyone's been looking forward to because they just wanted to see this character and what she's going to bring to the MCU. And to be fair, Marvel and Disney and Kevin Feige, they have been really pushing this character and touting that she will be the most powerful superhero that they have introduced yet. So we were all very excited, and especially because this film pretty much is going to tie in very heavily into Avengers Endgame, which is what we're all really waiting for. So let's get into the synopsis.
Excuse me, miss. Why are you dressed for laser tag?
Oh boy, you guys don't have any clue, do you? I'm here to stop the shapeshifters that are infiltrating your planet.
That's what I'm talking about. You know you're glowing, right?
Captain Marvel is the story of a noble hero warrior who crash lands on Earth and begins a journey of self-discovery with her new friend Nicholas J. Fury. She is there to stop the Skrulls from taking over the planet and from them finding a MacGuffin. We'll just call it a MacGuffin because I can't say really what it is, but they do explain it as basically an engine for light speed travel. So she's there to stop them from getting this engine for light speed travel.
Right.
And it's an item that is said to end the Kree-Skrull War. That's really all I can give away in a synopsis without
There's a lot of spoilers that we can dive into, so we're not gonna.
Yeah. So anyway, right off the bat in this movie, I really did enjoy Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I liked her. I liked the role. I like what she brought to it. I'll tell you who I didn't like, Jay. I didn't like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. There was Nick Fury was used as the comic relief so much. How can I ever look at him and go, that's a bad motherfucker right there? You know what I mean? He was just a comic relief so much. It felt like such a disconnect.
The de-aging looked really good.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Now, the physicality, you can tell it is old man Sam Jackson.
I don't care.
Because he was not
I don't care.
moving around like a normal cop that age.
Sam Jackson. That's fine.
Just saying.
But what I'm saying is,
I agree. Look,
the comedic level that they used him to created a very big disconnect between who Nick Fury is then and who Nick Fury will be by the time 2012 rolls around, or 2008 rolls around, and he's popping up in Iron Man. There's a large disconnect there, and I get it. That's almost 20 years, so there's plenty of time to work some shit in there and give him some for me, real axes to grind.
Brie Larson looked the part. She tried very hard, and I feel like you can tell a little bit.
I loved her scenes. I loved her scenes with
it was fine
Maria.
to me. She was fine. She was fine for me, and I love Brie, but like I thought she was just fine. Didn't love it, but I certainly didn't hate it. Now, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck directed this movie, and they also wrote the screenplay after, polishing it up, I guess, for them to direct, because Geneva Robertson Duart, whatever her last name is, she was the original screenplay writer, and she did the previous Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider was plagued as well with screenplay issues. Yeah. So this movie is also plagued by, I think, a lot of screenplay issues. I think underwritten characters, and I think some plot holes. So I think mostly the faults of this movie is essentially script and inexperienced directors handling big budgets, because some of the later in the movie CGI fight sequences not handled that well.
You know who didn't look great with their de-aging technology? Clark Gregg, man.
I know, right?
Didn't work.
Little odd.
Yeah.
Little odd.
It just looked off. And I don't think Ben Mendelsohn was given enough.
Oh, he was.
I think it was tough for him to act
surprisingly good
through the prosthetic makeup. I think it was tough for him to act with it.
I think we pulled it off though as well as he could.
Right. What's crazy is he's the only and it's not spoiler to say he's a Skrull. We know he's a Skrull from IMDb and from the trailers and stuff. For me, it's very strange that he's the only Skrull that is played by Ben Mendelsohn and then turns into Ben Mendelsohn.
Right. That was kind of genius.
Because the second I heard him talk, I was like, it takes you a second to look into the makeup and realize that's Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah. But when he started talking, I was like, that's Ben Mendelsohn. But he is, when he's the Skrull, he's cheesing it up a lot. Like, he seems
Very physical.
He seems very menacing when he is the human version of Ben Mendelsohn, and I believe him as a villain type and stuff like that, which works to the credit of the movie. And but when he's in the makeup and he's playing it up and stuff like that, for me a little bit, I was like, but you know, I think in the end it's because he had to be more expressive with that makeup on.
Sure. And he has experience, and he's very comfortable with Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck from previously doing Mississippi Grind.
Yeah.
With Ryan Reynolds was in that movie. That's a fine little movie I enjoy quite a bit. And Jude Law, he was fine as well. He was just fine. You know, he was solid. I mean, there's nothing crazy about it. I mean, I like Jude, but it was nothing special.
Given a lot to work.
Nothing special.
He's not given
very
a lot
serviceable, I would say. You know.
Yeah, and to be honest, like from the trailers, you know, we were seeing images of Ronan the Accuser, and we are seeing Korath. You know, these are characters that we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. Not a whole lot here either. Not a whole lot with them. They're there because we already know that they're Kree. They mentioned that in Guardians. They're there, and that's really it. I don't think I got the same amount of script issues that you're saying. I don't think it even suffers from pacing issues. I think what it suffers from is a little bit of disconnect about who this character is versus who they want it to be.
Partially script.
Yeah.
I mean,
I suppose so. When I saw this movie, I came out and what I thought about it was a lot of heart, not a lot of substance. That's pretty much what I took away from it. And I don't think there needs to be a lot of substance in all the Marvel films. However, it's always the ones with substance that I wind up liking the most.
Well, but also this is an origin movie.
It is.
And this was an important movie for us, the fans, to know about leading into Endgame.
I think it is hampered by the origin, by the origin story itself.
But also her story is complex. There's a lot to explain, and it's very fantastical. So
I will say this.
I understand they had a lot to do.
Yeah.
I just feel like they didn't quite handle it the best way. Or it was just, like I said, I felt like it was underwritten. I feel like maybe they wasted time in other areas, and in other areas they could have added more to flesh things out better.
I don't know what you mean specifically by other areas.
I'll talk more in spoilers.
Fair enough.
Because I'm trying to be vague as possible.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, this is
non-spoiler
that's just
section.
my takeaway from it. Some of the characters that I'm already familiar with, like Nick Fury, not being portrayed in a way that I'm familiar with him,
right,
with little explanation as to why he is the comic relief. I mean, all he does is point a cat at people a lot. A lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Goose.
And I really did, my takeaway from it is I buy Brie Larson as this character. I'm excited to see what else she has coming out.
I am too.
I really, when they get to it, I really enjoyed the full display of her powers. And I think at first I was a little disjointed by the climax and by the ending, because I was like, oh, it's over. Wait, it's over? And then I thought about it and I was like, really is the only way that it could end. And the way they did it, making it a spectacle in the way that they did, just really highlights the whole, woman unchained, unbound, unbent, unbroken. She's apparently she's from Dorne now. and just really unleashing on everything. And I was like, yeah, all right, I get it. And I like that. And I like that because what they really are doing is they're telling the story of the subdued woman of
Yeah,
and it's perfectly summed up in that scene where the guy says, "Come on, baby, smile for me more."
Right.
And it's like, all right, that's the story. She is. It's not a woman hear me roar. She's allowing herself to be her, and not being the restrictions that a society in her case, or in allegory, our society is placing on her. And I like that. I did like that.
And I'll be honest. Towards the end, I was watching it, and I actually came to the thought like I'm not going to rewatch this movie probably ever again. And then when the movie was over, I was like, you know what?
There's a lot of fun.
And especially the day after, I was like, I could definitely see myself, and I think I want to go and watch it again.
There's a lot of fun in it, and they did a good job of subverting Marvel fans' expectations, and we'll get into that in spoilers.
I think so too. Yeah.
All right, so Jay, what do you got to score for those people that are going to jump out right now and skip the spoiler section?
C+.
C+. All right, I'm a little higher. I'm at a solid B, just right there with a B. All right, skip ahead about 8 minutes if you want to avoid all these spoilers. Let's hit that spoiler music. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. 5 minutes starting now. All right, Chet, what I'm getting at is Nick Fury. He was the comic relief so much here, and I think it's because the character he's playing against is so powerful. What does a Nick Fury do?
And this is his first experience seeing an alien.
It's true. So seeing a superpowered person.
Well, that too, but also an alien.
for me, the end scene where he's looking at the pictures of Carol Danvers, and he's looking at it, and he's like, and it says Avenger, like her name was Avenger.
Right.
And I was like,
the nickname.
It reminded me of Solo.
Oh, I know.
Where he's just like, Han, who are your people? I'm by myself. Solo it is, stamp. And it's like,
I know. It was another one of those hums. Like,
what about that end credit scene though?
But how about what was even more of how he got the fucking eye patch?
Yeah.
The cat fucking scratching him.
And
like, really?
And if you remember,
I'm like, are you serious?
He said, I think it was in Winter Soldier. He says he got the eye patch by trusting someone he shouldn't. And everyone told him throughout the entire movie, right. That's a flirkin. Don't go near that. Put that down. Do you know what that thing is?
Well, we find out finally later on in the movie.
Yeah. So a flirkin is, well, I mean, you guys all saw the movie. It's,
well, we're not
it's an alien that looks like a cat, and it spits Cthulhu out of its mouth. And eats everything because its stomach, Jay, is made of a pocket dimension, which is why it's able to swallow and handle the Tesseract. By the way, the MacGuffin, a Tesseract. How awesome. I did love that. That's fucking cool.
How about Annette Bening?
No, that was ho-hum. that was
tough. Yeah, I thought she was just hamming it up, and then it was ho-hum, and it just, I don't know. It just, the whole thing just did not work.
It really smacked of, my grandkids love these movies.
Exactly.
But Robert Redford was good when he did that. He did it because his grandkids loved the Marvel movies. But yeah, Annette Bening, I wasn't crazy about. I did like that she was the original Marvel, and they didn't make a man Marvel. You know, I like the way that they tied that into the origin. I know there's a lot of haters out there with the whole fake Captain Marvel because Shazam in the comics was called Captain Marvel, and she used to be Ms. Marvel, and there was a character called Captain Marvel in Marvel. However, both of those,
they weren't like lovers or something, were they?
No.
Okay.
But she does derive her powers from the Kree in the same way that Marvel did. But anyway, the DC fanboys are calling this the fake Captain Marvel movie because Shazam used to be known as Captain Marvel. Now he's known as Shazam, and there's a lot of love lost there. There's a lot of people just like very upset about this whole thing. And after watching this, I went, what are you guys all upset about? What's everyone upset about? And I get it's Brie Larson's comments and stuff like that, but ultimately it's just a fucking movie, man. It's just a fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's just a movie that's
going to suck it up because there's going to be fucking sequels.
There's going to be sequels, yeah.
There's going to be sequels. And Lee Pace, playing Ronan, you barely get. And
Korath.
He's obviously going to be playing much more of a larger role in the sequels, I think.
Yeah. But you get Korath here too, and he's nothing again. He was nothing in the Guardians movie. He's nothing here. And I was like, why even pay this actor to come back? It was unnecessary.
Djimon Hounsou is a great actor.
Yeah,
I love the guy. He really knows how to
give us free.
Yeah,
come on, man.
God damn.
But fuck. There were so many parts in this movie where I was like,
and the big, the whole reveal with Jude Law being the bad guy. I mean,
well, I've known he was the bad guy from the beginning because he's Jan Rog, and Jan Rog has always been a Captain Marvel villain. However,
I didn't see the twist as far as like
I thought what was going to happen was we were going to be getting like a Game of Thrones scenario where we find out that no side of any war is truly good or truly bad.
Right.
And there's kind of like this gray area in both of them. And she feels that she has to end this war by fighting both of them. That's the story I thought I was going to get. And in the end, I was like, oh, Skrulls are good guys? Because
seriously, that was the most surprising thing about the movie.
These motherfuckers are supposed to be secretly invading Earth, and we're going to get a secret invasion movie. And Kevin Feige has come out and said, like, look, there may still be a secret invasion movie. There may still be Skrull bad guys. Skrulls are people, and there's no such thing as
purely only good people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like, so we could have bad Skrulls, and we can have good Skrulls. We can have bad Kree. We can have good Kree.
But but Ben Mendelsohn's character was semi-bad in the beginning, right? Like he had to do what he had to do because he was on a mission.
Right,
and he
only because his people were being put to mass genocide.
Well, exactly.
Right,
but
it's like Munich.
They did it right, but they did a great job, like organically seeing how the tides just shifted, and you see his family, and you see the love, and you see his humor and humanity.
See, that shift came a little too quick for me when he's in the house and he's like, "Wait, hold on, here's a MacGuffin that's going to explain everything. Let's watch. You on my side now? Yeah." Cool. Let's go to the space station. What? For me, I was like, that happened really fucking quickly. Like, what a twist. But then again, 2 hour runtime. We got to be brief with this,
Exactly. And I felt like I think a lot of things were just unearned and just underdeveloped. And I feel like her friendship with the girl was
Monica?
really underdeveloped.
Monica Rambeau?
Maria.
Oh, you're talking about
Maria Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau.
And Monica Rambeau's the daughter. Now, interesting. Monica Rambeau will be
replacing her, right?
Yeah. So she is cool, in the comics as well as a hero.
It was just so quickly thrown in.
Yeah.
And you didn't feel I just felt like everything was just too quick. And it was underwritten. I'm sorry, I keep saying it, but it just felt completely like that, and I could not get on board, and I was not invested in it as much as I thought I would be.
I think the character that they
wanted to so badly.
The character that they needed to develop was Captain Marvel. Was Carol Danvers.
That was still
and
a bit of a struggle.
Nah, they didn't. They did it
was fine. It was fine.
I'm on board. I'm on board with her. I liked it, and I love that end credit scene.
Those end credits were great.
Not
the mid credit one. The mid credit scene was great.
If I wanted to watch a cat hack up a fur,
I don't like cats anyway. So
but when she just shows up and wears Fury.
I didn't like the long hair though.
I did,
but I get it. It makes sense because she's
been in space for 17 fucking years.
I know.
It's not like there's a barber out there to cut her Super Saiyan hair, Jay.
Just saying.
Yes.
But no, she looked good. I think she's gonna be pretty badass, and I can't wait to see her in Endgame.
Ultimately, there are problems with the movie, but there's problems with every movie. You just have to.
I know, but I think you're gonna rank these movies. She's gonna be on the bottom of the list.
You just have to like enough of what you got.
Not the bottom of the list, but like towards the bottom of the list. Are the rankings?
I would put this on par with a Doctor Strange.
I think Doctor Strange is better, but
I don't. This is on par with Doctor Strange.
I get what you're saying.
It's certainly better than Iron Man 2 and Thor: Dark World. It's better than those. It's better than them. It's on par with like a Captain America, First Avenger. It's like that.
I like that one better.
Jeez, man. You want to talk about underdevelopment? Jesus. All right, man. I think what we were given, it's serviceable enough. I think obviously people voting with their wallets, they like it. And I mean, was there any doubt? It's a Marvel movie in early March. Of course, people are going to love it. Jay, let's go over and let's get a beer before we mix our cocktails for our Patreon assigned mini cocktail. Wait. No. Don't play the beer music yet because Jay's going to take a bit of a break. He's going to go get our beers for the review. He's going to mix together a cocktail for movie cocktail. But before we get into doing the rest of the show, a trailer dropped today and I just have to talk about it. It's the Avengers Endgame trailer. So, Thomas Iannucci, drop that trailer park beat.
God, and you just... Let Poetics explain.
Poetics, bring the drums in.
Cut the beat and let the music play. No trailer park, shout out to Dave and Jay. I don't serve, but there's a newer wave. We've been on since towards God save the right style. I don't want to flow until I know that the bass drop.
So yes, the Avengers Endgame third trailer, and probably the trailer that had me reaching for the tissues just a little bit more than any of the other ones, and it probably gives away a little bit more of the story than any other ones, just a sliver, just a tiny little bit. So here is that trailer.
God, seems like 1,000 years ago. I fought my way out of that cave. Became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I love that in this trailer. Now, we get a lot here. They pay a lot of homage to the films that came. It's all of their origin stories that they're showing. You know, we see the first time that Tony ever used the Iron Man suit. We see Thor talking with Odin at the end of Thor 1. We see shots of Wakanda from Black Panther. We see Steve Rogers going up to the recruitment center and looking at himself in the mirror and just not living up to the ideal that he wanted to be until he got the super soldier serum. So they're doing a lot to remind us of where Marvel has come and how far it's come. But I think that they're showing all this twofold also. We all know that there are rumors of, and I should say real quick, spoilers ahead, so skip ahead to the beer segment if you don't want to be spoiled on this. But I think that what they're trying to do is get us comfortable with the idea that we may be going back to this stuff. We know that time travel is an element that will be that's possible to be part of the Avengers Endgame movie. So I think showing a lot of this might be for that reason. So then after 30 seconds of a nostalgia bomb, we see Hawkeye, who is training somebody, a female archer. Now, this could possibly be Kate Bishop. However, I don't think it is. I think it's his daughter. And I think that unfortunately, this is a moment that the decimation will occur for Clint Barton, and she may fade away right then and there, or at least they are showing us a time that he was happy before the decimation happened, and then they immediately cut to him there as Ronin with Natasha staring right at him. Now, Natasha has red hair here, and we will see later on in the trailer when she's firing that gun that she has blonde hair there. So they're kind of showing like this passage of time that occurs in throughout the film, where I think this film's going to take place both immediately after the decimation, and then it's also going to jump forward what seems to be several months. And we kind of get an idea of that because we see Scott Lang sitting in front of a house, and I believe it's either his house or it's Cassie's house. I don't think it's some random house. So I think that he's standing there, and we see that it's overgrown and there's missing people posters all around, and he looks kind of confused. And I think the reason he's probably confused is because from that Super Bowl trailer that we got at the end, we've said this before, it looks like it says archive footage up in the top left corner. And it also looks like it says the year 1983 or possibly 1993, but I think it says 1983. And this is probably after Scott Lang has returned to the present. He's come back to the future, to say the least. So I think that's kind of like what they're showing there with it. We also get a scene of Steve Rogers just kind of sitting there, and it appears that he's sitting with Natasha, and he's talking about, he tells people to move on. And we did get a shot in the last trailer of him. It would kind of look like he was at some sort of group meeting, some sort of like self-help group for people moving on after the decimation. And he's probably leading that group mainly because his good friend Sam Wilson was decimated, and Sam used to work at the VA and used to work those type of self-help groups. And I feel that Steve is kind of picking up that torch and doing this, but he's also having this introspective look into himself, and he's saying that, I tell people all day to move on, but we haven't, and no one in the Avengers camp has. We also get a lot of character shots of a bunch of characters. We get Natasha and Hawkeye talking there. Really, just it seems like they're going to be a support system for one another, kind of like we got to see in Age of Ultron. And probably my favorite shot of this entire trailer is Rocket just sitting on War Machine's shoulder as that gun extends, and he kind of has like that look in his eye. I actually really like that shot. And I can't wait to see more of Rocket Raccoon in this, because I want to see how he deals with the loss of the Guardians. A lot of the scenes that we see are of battle scenes. Like there is one where Nebula kind of like uses these two staff that like kind of extend, and she goes running at somebody as she screams, and there's nothing but destruction and fire behind her. And later on, we'll see Captain America kind of strap his shield on tighter to his arm, and he's kind of in that same background. Another background that's kind of interesting is we see Thor, and the lightning is surrounding him at Stormbreaker, but the clouds and everything behind him, it's this very kind of like clear, bright blue day. And it reminded me a lot of that first trailer where we saw Thor kind of standing at that entranceway towards something, and we were kind of saying like maybe that is Thanos' world that he's on. Maybe that is the Soul World inside the Soul Stone that we believe that Thanos is in. Maybe he's there, and that is that he's there to attack Thanos, and that's what he's charging up to do. It's very possible. It could also just be a shot from Avengers Infinity War being reused here in the trailer. And then we get all of the characters going through, their line of whatever it takes, just letting us know that the Avengers are going to stop at nothing to undo what Thanos has done. So pretty much anything is possible. And the really cool scene is when we got a silhouette of this before with a group of the Avengers just kind of walking through the Avengers compound, and they're walking in front of the big windows, so it was backlit before and we didn't get to see what they all look like, but we get to see it now, and all of them are in what looks like Avengers space outfits. So they very clearly are implying that they are going to be taking this fight to Thanos and going out into space. Or possibly, and this is just another thought that I was having, it could be possible that they are going to Hank Pym's ship that takes him into the quantum realm, which we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp when he goes to rescue Janet Pym. It's very possible that they are wearing those suits, because we know that you need a suit like Ant-Man's suit to survive the quantum realm. So it's very possible that they're not actually going to space at all. They could be going to the quantum realm to time jump, if that is in fact what is going on in this movie. And we do see Captain America, Nebula, we also see Scott Lang, Hawkeye, and we see War Machine. We do see Tony Stark there as well. We also see Natasha Romanoff, but someone we don't see Bruce Banner. We don't see the Hulk. And these outfits, while they don't look like that promotional image that they put out before of all the Avengers in kind of like this space, in kind of like these outfits out in space, the Hulk was one of those, but we don't see him here because I think they're still kind of holding that little surprise back that Bruce Banner and the Hulk will become one, and we will get a version of Hulk here that has Bruce Banner's mind and the Hulk's strength. He will be what people have been referring to as Smart Hulk. And I think that's why we're not seeing him here in that. But it is confirmation that obviously Tony's rescue comes, and we all knew that Tony's rescue was going to be coming. And then, of course, we get the Avengers Endgame logo just before we see a scene that involves Thor and Captain Marvel, because now that Captain Marvel movie is out, Marvel is willing to show us more of her in this film. And spoilers, I know we talked about it, but there is an end credit scene in Captain Marvel, and it does tie into Endgame and does tie into this trailer a little bit. But we see Thor, and he's calling Stormbreaker to him, and he puts his hand like right over top of her head, and the Stormbreaker whizzes right past her head, and he stares her down. And I like this one. I like that. Because these are the two most powerful heroes that we have right now, as long as the Hulk is still subdued. So those two kind of like sharing that moment. It's pretty cool. Who I would like to see Carol Danvers team up with in the movie, and someone who we don't see here. I'm missing Valkyrie, man. I'm missing Korg. Give me some Korg, man. So that's it. That's what I got. That's what I'm taking away from the trailer. Not a whole lot story wise, but a lot of new cool scenes to break down and to discuss. So if you would like, reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. Let me know what you think of this trailer. Let me know if there's anything you spotted in the trailer that I missed. I've only watched it several times, so I'm not going to get into the whole looking into every scene and what's that in the background, stuff like that. But if you did and you do have something you'd like to share with us, please do at SuperMoviePod on Twitter. All right, this trailer park break is over. Back to our regular scheduled program. We're going to get some beers in us now. All right, Jay, we got two beers that we are going to be reviewing for everybody. But before we do that, I'm going to drop a line to our sponsor, Blowfish. It's the only FDA-approved hangover cure. So if you spent the better part of 3 hours just bleeding pretty profusely, you lost a lot of blood, your blood sugar's crashing, you got a little bit of a headache, and then, like a dumbass, you mix a cocktail and you drink a beer along with it, you're going to have one whopping of a hangover.
Indeed.
The next day. You're going to need some Blowfish. So make sure you go over to 4hangovers.com. Use the promo code SMBFISH to get your 15% off and cure the scourge of hangovers forever. All right, Jay, we got two beers that we are going to review. In the interest of time, we are skipping Indie Pod Spotlight this week because I have to edit this in very short amount of time because I usually release on Saturday. I got to go with my wife to Baltimore to do an anniversary thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun
you got to do.
It's going to be fun to talk about next week because we are going to the open for less than a year Guinness Brewery that's there. We're not going to be doing a brew tour. We're going to be celebrating St. Patty's Day at Guinness Brewery. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
You hate crowds.
Yeah, I'll get by.
It's going to be fucking nuts.
To get Guinness straight from the tap, it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it. All right, Jay, what beer are you going to be reviewing for everyone tonight?
I have Vault Brewing Company's Of Hops and Clouds. It's a pale ale with Mosaic, Citra, and Simcoe hops. It is 5.5 alcohol by volume. They come from Yardley, Pennsylvania. They are about 10 minutes away from us.
I drank that when I was there for me and Lauren's.
I'm not crazy about it.
For Valentine's Day. Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea. It's
okay.
It's a little too sour for me. It's got a little bit of a hop to it, but ultimately it just has too much of a sour finish that I don't care for so much. I enjoy a lot of their beers. This one just seems to be a little too much on the soury side for me. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5.
All right, fair enough. Jay, the beer I am drinking is called the Mosaic. It's called Mosaic because it's an Indian pale ale that is brewed with milk sugar. So milk. You get it.
I get it.
You get it. This beer is a lot like you. And the reason I say that is because it's a single IPA. What I mean by single IPA is it only is brewed with one hop. It's a single hop IPA. You're single. It's single. And it's brewed.
Fair enough.
It's brewed with Mosaic hops. I don't like it. just like you, I don't like it. Yeah, this beer should be called the J. Just J.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like the beer, you don't like me. It fits, right?
To be fair, I like you sometimes. enough to keep you.
When you're not editing me.
That's true. I like you more now because now I know I have confirmation from Twitter that I am superior to you. they've given me carte blanche just to always shit on your lists because they now know that your lists are just as shit.
Yeah, they're on your side.
Yeah,
our fans are Team Dave
for the most part. Yeah.
So now you just feel sympathy and just kind of
No sympathy. My army's rising against you. I will crush you. So anyway, this beer, 6% alcohol by volume. The reason I don't like it, not like Jay's where like it's sour, it just has this very strange like just flavor to it. It's almost like a sour juice, but like not, like I said, like not sour. It's not grapefruit. I can't even put like my finger on it. It's like you're eating a bad orange. Like
a bad orange with zero flavor.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a moldy orange. Like, it's like, it's a drinking lemon pledge. It's just not great.
Yeah, that is pretty terrible.
It's beautiful looking.
It does look beautiful.
It's hazy.
God damn, that is a really bad beer.
It smells good. By all rights, I'm looking at this and I go,
it's not
good.
even so much that it's rind. It's not even so much like an orange rind peel taste to it. It's literally what you would fantasize a bad actual orange would be with no real flavor to it.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
just
like
skin.
It's
like you took the skin of like an orange and you put it in your mouth, but you didn't bite down.
There's
no citrus. It's just that like leathery kind of like.
You peel an orange and there's just like this tiny little black ball inside of it, and you pop that in your mouth, and you're like,
what the fuck is this?
Fucking gross. It tastes like I imagined a growth on my chest would taste like.
Yeah. That's probably the worst beer we've had in a long time. I think.
It is, man. I'm gonna be giving this a 2.
That's a fair number, yeah.
Just a straight 2. No, because it's not so bad that I can't finish it.
It looks pretty at least.
Yeah. And the Mosaic single hop IPA.
It's a nice little can.
It comes from Bolero Snort, a brewing company. Even their name just sounds fucking shitty. Want to love it. Want to love every beer. Want to love every movie, but we just can't, Jay. So let's get to a movie that one of our patrons loves enough that they would assign it to us. We were supposed to be doing a different movie. I'll explain why we didn't do that when we get into our movie cocktail for The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Oh boy.
My extraordinary friends, one with exceptional eyesight, one with powerful lungs, one who is extremely strong, tearing off all over the place. Not late, am I? We cannot fly to the moon. Balderdash. An experience which I don't hesitate to recommend. I gave my word that I would save the town. Have him executed at once.
Might as well give up now.
You mustn't say that. Not you. You won't get far on hot air and fantasy. I'm back! This is precisely the sort of thing that no one ever believed.
Please tell me.
Really want to know, don't you?
We got a little bit of a mini movie cocktail to do for you guys. This is a movie cocktail that was suggested by our Patreon, Kim. As we said in the beginning of the show, we were supposed to be doing Haunted Honeymoon, which stars Dom DeLuise and Gene Wilder. However, that has 0 home video distribution whatsoever. It appears
nowhere.
I could have bought it on DVD, but it's not on any digital media streaming service where I could have just rented it and stuff like that. And by the time me and you realized that, it just wasn't going to happen. So instead, we reached out to Kim and said, "Is there anything else that you would like us to do?" And at first, I saw Adventures, and I was like, "Oh, the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the 8th Dimension," or whatever. That ridiculously long title. But instead, I read it even closer, and I was like, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And that's what we are doing. The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Yes. This film came out in 1988, and it was directed by Terry Gilliam, and it stars John Neville, Eric Idle, Oliver Reed, Jack Purvis, Jonathan Pryce, and a special cameo from Robin Williams, and an even smaller cameo by Sting.
And Uma Thurman.
And
a young Uma Thurman.
So this was actually Uma Thurman's first job.
Yeah.
But it wasn't considered her debut, because the movie actually took so long in production that she had another feature or two come out before The Adventures of Baron Munchausen came out. And it is the third in an unofficial trilogy of imagination by Terry Gilliam, which are, the first one's Time Bandits, and then the second one is Brazil, and then following up, this final one is The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. It is based on a German novel or series of stories that were real for Germany, and it is based on a real person. However, the stories are very fanciful and very fairy tale like, and that's what Terry Gilliam wanted to pay tribute to and homage to. And if you look at his trilogy of films, the three, the Time Bandits, Brazil, and Adventures of Baron Munchausen, it is supposed to be a cycle of birth and death. So Time Bandits is the story of the youth, of birth. Brazil is the story of adulthood, and Munchausen is the story of age and being old and trying to recapture your youth, which is why Baron Munchausen, John Neville's character, bounces between ages so frequently in this, because he's only as young as he feels, Jay, at the moment.
Exactly.
And sometimes he feels older than he really is. And of course, at the end, he passes that whimsy that he has over to Sally, who's played by Sarah Polley, and the whole cycle would then begin again with Sarah. So that he kind of like wrapped it up real nice there for everybody.
It does.
You have to slog through a lot to get to that though. 3 movies, and all of them are just as ridiculous as this one is. However, Brazil, I've seen, and Time Bandits, I've seen both of them. I really enjoyed, and I gotta say, I never heard of this movie. I literally never heard of this movie until Kim assigned it to us.
Which is saying something.
Yeah, and I've heard
this was semi-popular for a particular audience.
It was.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this, I immediately saw like the cover art for it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what shit is this? And then like I started reading up about it, and I started watching it, and I found it extremely whimsical and just fucking charming. Like, it just oozes with fucking charm. I actually really, really enjoyed it.
It is, and also visually too, because they really went all out for this movie. The actors as well. There's a lot of different extras. The production design is fantastic. It's very in camera. A lot of the effect all in camera. A lot of fun. It seemed like a big old stage play.
Yeah, there's actually only one scene of CGI, of special effects, and it's when he's on the moon, and there is like a starlit whale or something swimming below him. And other than that, the whole rest of the movie is all practical effects, and it's really one of the last films that was able to pull off practical effects in this way. And man, it just looks fantastic, the practical effects. Like,
it really does.
I gotta say that, like, that to no end, just really,
and they really have fun with
me.
it, because there's stuff in here that you just have never seen before. Just silly stuff, like fantastical stuff, like we were talking about. It's very whimsical. It's very chaotic, and you never know what's going to happen from scene to scene or moment to moment.
And I think that, like, when I was watching this, I was thinking about it, and I was like, this is the equivalent then of what like Guardians of the Galaxy and other such like fanciful things that we've gotten recently would have been if they were made then. You know what I mean? Like that's how hokey they would have looked. But for the time, it's pretty fucking amazing. So the story of this is that he's in a town in Europe that is currently going through the Turkish war, and there they are putting on a stage play of his adventures. And he shows up as an old man, throws a fit, and he's basically like, no, you got it all wrong. And he gets all upset, and he proceeds to tell the audience the real story. And from there, it turns out that the Turkish are still at the gates. So he then gets all the women to give them their knickers, and he creates a balloon, and he goes to the moon to start rescuing his servants, and all of his servants have various superpowers, Jay. And Sally, the little girl who rescued him from the Angel of Death, is a stowaway there, and she comes with him on this adventure, and a lot of times kind of becomes like his foil, because she kind of brings him back down to earth sometimes. Like, he seems to get lost in his imagination, in his whimsy, and in his fancy.
It shows when he first gets on stage, and he's really upset and violent, and you can tell he's got borderline, I guess, Alzheimer's disease coming on, or some kind of dementia, whatever. But
who knows?
He's all over the place. Yes.
Oh man, so he is on an adventure to find his three friends, or the servants, the ones who helped him take down the Turkish Sultan before. And they are Berthold, the world's fastest runner, Adolphus, a rifleman who has superhuman eyesight, Gustavus, who is a dwarf who possesses extraordinary hearing and sufficient lung power enough to knock down an entire army just by exhaling, and the fantastically strong Albrecht. Now, this I find interesting, because if you put all of these characters together, running super fast, ice breath, like the hard breath and stuff like that, super hearing, super eyesight, and super strength, Jay, who do you get? Dun, 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 bum, 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 dun, 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 dun.
Superman.
Yeah, there you go.
And it was kind of fun to see it.
And the idea
that was based off of David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
So who would have thought? But no, just for example, the fastest man was a lot of fun to see, because he's, it's like 20 seconds of him running in place, chewing up the boards and the flooring before he takes off and runs, and it was just a lot of fun to watch.
Played by Eric Idle. Yeah, it was very, very cartoonish in that way.
Very cartoonish.
Like Scooby-Doo,
like Runner type stuff,
When Shaggy and Scooby ghost! And like they run in place for a while. He does the exact same thing, and he is constantly tripping over rocks. Like, he seems to he trips, especially in like that final fight. He goes to run for the first time, and he trips on the rock and goes face first into the sand. So I don't think you could really put a pin on this movie and say, like, if you like this, then watch this. You have to really be in a certain frame of mind to really want to jump into.
You have to really enjoy the obscure and quirky film.
Yeah,
for sure. 100%.
I would say if you're down with Terry Gilliam movies,
and I think
you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, if like The Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, if that's a very modern day kind of hard edge R-rated movie. It's more singular in a way of the tone of the story. But this one is a fantastical 18th century type story with a lot of different misadventures and
I would say this: if you're not immediately,
elaborate stories.
If you like Monty Python's Holy Grail, then watch this. I think you'll get. I think it's a little bit more fanciful. It's a little bit less funny, but you will find yourself laughing at the ridiculousness of it, and that's not. You're not laughing at the movie. The movie wants you to laugh at the ridiculousness of it. Especially Robin Williams. Robin Williams, the role he did, it was originally supposed to go to Sean Connery, but because of the extreme length of time that it was going into with its filming and how much over budget it was, they had to cut the role for the King of the Moon, or the King of Everything, as he likes to be called. So it didn't wind up with Sean Connery, because Sean Connery looked at the script and went, "It doesn't seem very kingly, does it?" I don't think I'm going to do it, Terry. I'm going to pass. So he passes.
I can't imagine him doing the role anyway.
He passes on it, and they wind up giving the role to Robin Williams, who literally got off of a plane and immediately went and filmed his scenes. So when he went to go film them, they didn't even give him a script. They went, you know what? Script's out. You. Just do you. Just whatever you want to do. It's all 6 minutes of his screen time. Robin Williams ad-lib.
It makes sense.
It really...
It's just old school Robin Williams mad gibberish.
Yeah, absolutely. But it works. It works so well. I love the part where he reattaches his head to his body. I know. Like, if you haven't seen this movie, everything we're saying just sounds like fucking lunacy. But when this
is just, a nice little short and sweet movie cocktail. It's an appetizer for season 2 coming out soon.
Is.
So that's all it is.
But I love when he reattaches his head and you get that, I'm back! And I got lips! Give me a kiss! I did enjoy that part. Like, I found myself at first just being so standoffish about this movie, just based on like looks when it first started, and I found myself just getting charmed by its wiles. And yeah, it could have gotten my pants off at some point. It's like the funny fat guy. It's like, I'll sleep with him, because he fucking makes me laugh. So what?
I'll feel comfortable with him.
How Dave got married, by the way. Being the funny fat guy. But Jay, we did make a cocktail to go around this.
We certainly did.
It is so because there is a real psychological disorder that is attributed to the character of Baron Munchausen and his adventures. I decided I would name the cocktail based on that. So this is Munchausen's Adventure by Proxy. Because Munchausen's by proxy is usually when you have a mom, and I say mom and wife because usually women are affected by this more than men. They will purposefully make someone in their family sick so that they then receive attention based around their sick family member's illness, and it also gives them a sense of importance because they are then having to take care of them.
Like the Phantom Thread movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Munchausen's by proxy. This is Munchausen's Adventure by Proxy cocktail. And what it is, Jay, it is 2 ounces of Evan Williams peach whiskey, 2 ounces of raspberry liqueur, 6 ounces of pineapple juice, and then you put that into a shaker over ice. You put in about a teaspoon or tablespoon, whichever, how frothy you want it, that's up to you, of egg whites in there. Mm-hmm. And then you also put about a teaspoon or tablespoon of lemon, depending on how sour you want. Shake that all up, pour it over ice, and it's kind of like a Sex on the Beach. It's kind of like a Fuzzy Navel. It's kind of like I wanted it to be very sweet. I wanted it to be extremely lighthearted, and I wanted it to be very whimsical.
And the egg whites add a lot to that.
Yeah.
And adds to that little pizzazz, little texture to it, little flair.
Yeah, it makes it look like the white fluffy clouds.
It does.
That him and Venus, are dancing around at one point. I honestly didn't think that this was going to be a good cocktail because I made this within 15 minutes. Because of my little trip to the doctors that I had to take. But yeah, I think with this movie, I only found it more charming by finding out just how troubled its production was. And it seems like every Terry Gilliam production is troubled, but this one especially, because at first it had a $23 million budget. It then had to go up to $46 million. Terry Gilliam still to this day says they now say it was $40 million. That's what it ended up costing.
Right.
He said nowhere near that. Into the 30s, yes, but not 40 million. He did not get to 40 million. Apparently, Paramount Pictures had a regime change while this film was in production, and that new regime that came in did not want anything from the old regime succeeding. So there was only an entirety of 117 prints of the film made up for distribution to go out to theaters, and only 48 of them were stateside. So he is convinced that his movie got railroaded. And
no, I believe it. I mean, if they were actually trying to do that, which is shocking anyway, it's just so childish.
Why wouldn't you still want to make money?
It's so childish, yeah.
Who cares? Those guys are out. Who cares? But according to him, that is the main reason why, to this day, it's not very well remembered, and it's not.
I never heard of it. You never did either. I'm sure a lot of.
But what's funny is Time Bandits and Brazil were both made same studio and stuff like that under that old regime.
This was a popular book,
apparently. and those do hold. A popular book in the 18th century.
Well, I mean, look, the Bible's still popular.
It's second only in Germany.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, the book, was second only to the Bible, for Christ's sakes. But no, I really encourage everybody to see it. If you just have like an ounce of whimsy inside of you, give it a shot. It's a truly fun film, I would say, and I'm actually surprised that I liked it as much as I did. And man, I got to say, like, just the idea of getting older and like he laughs at death, Jay. He laughs at death. He meets her 4 times in the movie, and 3 of those times he laughs in her face. And you gotta love that. You gotta love that in the character. So I encourage everyone to check it out. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. I would encourage you to check the cocktail out. I'll put the recipe up along with this episode on Twitter. Jay will put it up on Facebook as well, so you can check us out there. On Twitter, it's at SuperMoviePod. On Facebook, Super Movie Bros Podcast. If you would like to suggest movie cocktails for us to do, then you're gonna have to go over to Patreon. Patreon.com/SuperMovieBrosPodcast. Join the Patreon for just $1. You can get additional content. For $5, you can get the additional content plus a gift. And we have various different stages for tier 4 and tier 5, various different incentives for tier 4, tier 5, including assigning us movie homework pretty much whenever you want. And then you also have a say in the categories that go into future movie cocktails, as well as if you're in the top tier, you get to assign us a full-on movie cocktail to do, which if you have the ability to, you can also join us for if you would like. We are, of course, part of a network. We are part of the Podfix Network, so head over to podfixnetwork.com. You can check out all the movie cocktail recipes that are up there, and you can also check out all the great shows that are part of the Podfix Network. I was just on So I Married a Movie Geek, the 1987 movie draft. The votes are already closed, so I may have one, I may not have one, I do not know, but I still encourage you to head over there and listen to those, because the 1980s tournament, it's a ton of fun. You can listen to drafts from the year of 1980 all the way up to 1987 currently. Next one will be 1988, and then the finals and the championship, it'll be 1989, and hopefully I will be there again. So check out So I Married a Movie Geek at Movie Geekcast on Twitter. Would like to drop one final line to our sponsor, Blowfish. You can get your 15% off of this hangover cure by going to forhangovers.com and use the promo code SMBFISH for your 15% off. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.